no trans woman has assaulted or attacked a cisgender woman.
Anyway, we could do this one. This guy's quite fun. This is quite fun. My woman needs a definition, especially not like that kind of definition. Like, this is my entire point a lot of the time. We like over-intellectualize the out of this shit. For what? So that some men can be women? What's the point? Like, maybe I'm just a man. Who cares? It's fine. I'll be a man. Call me whatever you want. I truly don't care. Anyway, we're going to watch this guy because this guy's fun. Woman doesn't think woman is woman. Only not woman thinks they're woman. Exactly. There you go. It makes sense because either you're a woman or you think that you're a woman, and that's what a woman is. And there's no possible way that means people can just start calling themselves women. But anyway. God, that Jovan guy, he's got shit to answer for, man. He's fucking twisting people's brains right the fuck up. Young Rolf Harris, yes. He kind of reminds me of Robert Webb, actually, the way he talks. Like, there's a bit of Jez from Peep Show going on. But anyway, Rolf. Anyway, he's got another one of these videos where it's like how to beat transphobic arguments every time. Key facts. The last one was a right fucking hoot. So let's see. Not defining. Can he win me over this time? Maybe. Or maybe I'm just a pick me. Maybe I'm just maybe I just don't know what anything is. I don't know.
Hi everyone, it's Mark here from Not Defining.
Doesn't he sound like Robert Webb? Now that I've heard it, I can't unhear it. Anyway, sorry. Pause, Andy.
I hope you're doing
A trap's gay. Yes, very.
so well. Today I'm making the second video in my series on trans rights. If you haven't checked out the
I like Peep Show. I think the last couple of series like really went off the rails a bit. But like it was good. The only thing is it's tough to watch because like British comedy in that era, like it's the same with the In-Betweeners, for example, was like heavy on the cringe. It was like painful to watch in some cases. You know what I mean? But it's really good. Just speak very slowly and softly and not get mad. Yeah, sometimes I do. I don't really debate, to be honest. Like, someone wanted to fucking jump in and school me on what gender is, and yeah.
The first one, I go into a bit of the science.
Is Matt Dillahunty gay? Yes, very.
Behind, if you haven't checked out the first one, I go into a bit of the science behind transgender issues and non-binary sex and gender. So it should be popping up at the top. But today, I'm going to be running down just a few.
Oh yeah, this is the one I watched, the how to beat transphobic arguments every time with science. It was not very good. I've got a video on it. You can watch that. Hey, if you like the stream, you should consider liking the stream. Check the links in my description. You can check out some music I made. You can support the stream on Streamlabs. You can also join my Discord.
Few of the key arguments that people will often make against giving our beautiful trans community the rights that they deserve. So the reason that I'm talking about this is because we are all LGBT people together. An attack on one is an attack on us all. And
that's not true. Is this a gay guy? I think so. But no, he's bisexual and queer.
I would like for us all to be better informed so that we can stand up for our trans family. If you like this content.
Yeah, the trans brains guy, which is hilarious because that's a trans med argument. Like, plenty of like woke sort of gender types. Plenty of like woke gender types do not like this kind of argument. Have Boy on again, have him explain menstrual cycles. Yeah, maybe. I know lots of people who are like, you should do the Twitch thing. I have Twitch. Isn't it linked? Check the links in my description. It should be Twitch. I am actually monetized on Twitch. I can't get members on YouTube yet because I struggle to make content that YouTube likes, I guess.
Then please share it. But let's go into one of the first most common things that people will bring up. You know, we've all had that kind of conversation. The first thing is about children. So a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big problem if two people don't have the same definition. But the thing is, when someone's definition of what a woman is that bizarre and convoluted, it's just never going to work. There's no point. And hey, I don't mind. I'll fucking argue with someone. I don't give a shit. But like, you know, isn't how you convince people. If you can't even talk to people on a level that they understand and see the world in, then you're kind of fucked, ultimately. If you have to start talking about metaphysics, like what is a woman? Well, most people just see a woman as an adult human female. So it's like, okay.
Will come with, fairly understandable questions about, what happens if a child says that they are trans or wants to transition. The first thing that I want to say,
trans people deserve all rights, but not in women's sports, kids, or prisons. Yeah, I think I agree.
Is it is unbelievably difficult for children or minors to actually access gender affirming treatment. Okay, in the UK and Ireland, for example, if you speak to any trans child or parent,
yeah, go and start talking to trans children. Great idea.
About how unbelievably challenging it is to even get an appointment, to, even if you spend loads of money and do it privately, it's basically the same. It takes years, okay? It is so difficult, and it is also not legal for minors to have procedures which are irreversible, okay? So a lot of people...
Not legal for them to have puberty blockers except in clinical trials now, so hey.
People worry that children can't make this decision, they're not mature enough, and they're going to have these irreversible...
Yeah, there being a long waiting list does not in any way negate that. Like, they've got time to think, yeah, but they're also being, like, socially affirmed constantly as well. You know what I mean?
Treatments that are going to be regretted later on. They're not. Because it is actually not permitted. The second thing to say...
Irreversible treatments. What are we even calling that? I mean, kids can go on HRT, can they not? I don't know. How do I find this? Because I'm pretty sure children can have HRT. I don't trust a single thing this person says. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just using Google. It's really annoying. And it's for children or young people. Options for children include most treatments are psychological rather than mental. Hormone therapy. Some will be referred to a hormone specialist. Wokeness ruined transgender. Yeah, a little bit. It's fine though. It's fine. All that happens is complete who are not trans insist on mansplaining my issues to me and then get mad when I disagree with them. But that's fine. That's fine. They're in their right to do that. It's a free country. There is free speech. You're allowed to make a fool of yourself if you so desire. That is fine. I'm not sure. Like, I'm sure younger kids get, like, HRT. And, like, maybe he's just talking about the UK, where maybe they've clamped down on a lot of that shit, but I don't trust this at all.
About that is the actual proportion of people who regret having a transition, a medical transition, is about 0.1%.
TSER, trans student, yeah, doesn't sound at all biased, but hey, you know. Must be insulting. Have a bunch of fucks tell you aren't trans. Well, it's more like people can't accept that I'm a male, and that makes me a man, not a woman. Like, I'm sorry. If we can't get the most basic of things straight, then what's the difference? Like, I don't have a vagina, I have a penis that got inverted, you know? Anyway, myth of trans regrets. Based on a 2011 study of 448 individuals performed by Gender Advocacy Training and Education. Again, doesn't sound biased whatsoever. How do they measure regret? Is it asking? HRT for teens. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Reverse. I don't know if this is a American thing. But I mean, the thing is, like, he's talking generally. He isn't making it clear that he's talking about the UK. So whether it's a British thing or not, I don't know. Doesn't really matter a huge amount. Oh, 9 out of 10 responded that their overall personality improved due to transition. Your personality improved? What? Oh, Anna, you're still the token Russian, don't worry. 9 out of 10. Like, yeah, it's myth. Transition will make a person bitter and depressed. His findings are based on a very small group. And we're talking about testimonials. The thing is, like, if you go on testimonials for, like, trans issues, what's going to happen is people are more likely to say that they're happier on it because they have a vested interest in wanting that medication because they identify as trans or whatever, you know what I mean?
And in the absolutely minuscule exceptional minority of cases where people do express some question about, whether this was the right thing for them, what you also find in the data is
UK gender large national gender clinic. Only 1% of the 303 reviewed made a detransition. What's the overall? Was it worth it to rewatch that debate? It depends. If you want to watch a bunch of bullshit, then yeah, probably very worth it. If you want any kind of interesting conversation, then no. Someone decided they've got a really exotic definition of what a woman is that I've never heard before, by the way. And that means they're right. And I just don't know what metaphysics is. Dr. Christina Richards. Pseudo-randomization, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really say where they get the info from. Like, is it testimonial again?
Is that this is universally married in parallel with families who are unaccepting, pressure from families.
How so?
Yeah, a really, really hostile home environment.
Trans speakers, Cat Black. Who's this? Cat Black sucks, man. Terrible. TED Talks, amazing. How to talk and listen to transgender. Another TED Talk. Pink Manta Ray. I know who that is. Jeffrey Marsh. Jeffrey Marsh. Yeah, let's get some Jeffrey Marsh going. Pink Manta Ray. Who is that?
When your kid tells you that they are
Skylar Balar. Who's a trans male swimmer. Amazing. Weird how trans males are never competitive, yet trans women are. Weird that it's women that always seem to get fucked over by those things. Yeah. But no, I just need more men to mansplain me what women are. Monroe Bergdorf. Sure, she said some wacky shit in her time, but Iman Aiton. I think that's that person. There's people with dysphoria as 0.01% of the population. We can ignore them too. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's odd how stereotypically we've got all these cis people. It's like, well, trans people are 1% of the population, so who cares about them? And then the trans people being like, well, regretful detransition is a 1% of the population, so who cares about them? It's like, you do the same shit that you complain about cis people supposedly doing to detransitioners when they regret it. And people slander them as all being fucking Chloe Cole.
Yeah, and so
yeah,
when we're talking about kids regretting it later in life, we're talking about something that doesn't actually happen. Now,
well, no, you said it did happen, just not very often. Now you're saying it didn't happen.
Later in life, we're talking about something that doesn't actually.
Were those sources? Were they even wait? At least put them in order. Jesus Christ. This is brain stuff. Most people considered brain stuff bunk. I don't know for sure how I feel, but I don't put much stock into it myself. India Willoughby claims he is female. Yeah, lots of them do. People like fucking gaslight me. Oh, no one actually says that they think that they're a different sex to what they are. No, they literally do. Sex redefined. The idea of two sexes is overly simplistic. What, based on DSDs? Most DSDs, looks like a fucking Substack, by the way. Most DSDs, they're still one or the other. And the vast majority of the rest of them, if not all of the rest of them, they have no sexual function anyway. That's not a third sex because there's no third gamete. Why do all these trans people look like news anchor people? I don't know. Does he? I don't know. Maybe they have low standards for news anchors in Denmark. Sorry, that's a joke. That was mean. Anatomy text should show sex as a spectrum to include intersex people. It's literally about people's feelings. They're admitting it. And like intersex people, again, they're still males or females. Let's find people who actually don't fit either necessarily. We're talking about way less than 0.01%, but then we have to care about those people. But when it's regretful detransitioners or even detransitioners at all, we don't have to care about those people. It doesn't make any sense, but okay.
Actually happen. Now, it's important people.
Yeah, what I'm trying to find, is this even about kids? Like, this doesn't make any sense. I can hear, like, it sounds like there's a TV playing or something. But Charlie is not here, so that's really fucking freaking me out. Anyway, I can't find the sources that he showed. Like, I can't fucking read this. I definitely can't read the next one. What does this have to do with children? Because he's talking about children right now. Because so it sounds like he's taking data about adults and putting them onto children. You can't fucking do that. It doesn't make any sense. Does it mention children here? I cannot see anything about children.
In parallel with families who are unaccepting, pressure from families.
No source for that, by the way.
Yeah, a really, really hostile home environment. Yeah, and so when we're talking about kids regretting it later in life, we're talking about something that doesn't actually happen. Now,
okay, when we're talking about people that don't fit the sex binary, people that don't fit, that just doesn't happen, okay? Why is it one way for one and not that way for the other?
it's important to focus on the facts. So, I'll post them down below. The other thing about this is I think a lot of
I personally think it's a cult built on primarily envy and arrogance. They sell you on life not being fair and try and encourage you to be arrogant so you won't listen to anyone. Yeah, I can maybe buy that. What did you just say? I can hear it again if you want.
actually happen. Now, it's important to
And yeah, doesn't happen at all. Not what he said at all. And by the way, the two studies he showed, we've got maybe 800. It's not a very big sample, really.
focus on the facts. So, I'll post them down below. The other thing about this is I think a lot of adults will worry that children will regret it or it's going to be the wrong thing for children.
Yeah, he hasn't shown anything for children. Like, did I miss any of these? It's really hard because I don't know what any of these are. He just throws in irrelevant sources of evidence, expect people not to notice. I'm starting to think that. I try and be open-minded, but it's difficult sometimes. It's just difficult.
But they don't necessarily follow that thought through and actually think about what the aim in all of this is, because
who cares what the aim in all of this is? What is the aim in all of this got to do with whether your child is going to regret transition or not? And by the way, if they do, potentially that's quite devastating because they might not be able to have kids anymore. Might not be able to breastfeed the kids that they might still be able to have, etc., etc. Like, how many times do we need to explain it? Apparently every single fucking stream.
Because if you're worrying that a child is going to regret going through a transition, then what are you actually worrying about? You're worrying that they're going to be down, they're going to feel...
No, I worry that they're making a decision they're not old enough to really understand the full ramifications of. I'm worried that they will get permanent changes to their body, potentially quite young in their life. And what will happen is they might regret it later on and have certain experiences in life that they will never have because of that decision that they made as a child, which, I don't know, call it empathy or whatever the fuck you want. I can't imagine if I made a decision as a child that meant that I could no longer do something that I wanted to do. Like, making that decision as a child, that would hurt a lot. You know what I mean? And it's very difficult to tell which kids don't desist.
Upset that they're not going to be able to live the life they want to live. They're going to be filled with...
Well, potentially, but you're kind of slanting it, aren't you? Let's be honest.
With regret and frustration and pain, right? That's what we don't want. That's what we're worrying about, right? So if you look at the reality of these young people, what you will see is that that is what they feel when they are barred. Yes.
And transitioning them might help in the short term. Will it help in the longer term? Who knows? Has this guy watched a single video of someone talking about their youthful transition that they now regret? Like, I don't know. It's very difficult because you try and talk about this stuff and people just think you mean Chloe Cole and oh, they're all grifters. Well, no.
From making the transition or from accessing whatever.
And by the way, if these kids want to transition, they're probably going to overestimate their anxiety and depression. That's what people are encouraged to do in general.
The right care and treatment is for them. So it doesn't really make sense to...
Also, by gender identity. So you're just identifying into something that then makes you feel like shit? Is that what's going on? Like, this gender identity, it makes no sense. What? Oh, you have a certain state of mind. What? I don't know, man. It doesn't make any sense to me. We've made it super complicated so that non-binary makes sense, and now cis doesn't make sense, despite cis being most of the fucking population. Because apparently cis people identify with their gender assigned at birth. How does that fucking work exactly? Like, you just are. I'm sorry. You don't have to come back round and identify as the thing that you are. You know what I mean? Like, what do I identify? I don't fucking know, do I?
It doesn't really make sense to be concerned for young people when you're doing the absolute opposite. So
that's really stupid.
I would question, what else is going on.
That's utterly retarded. You're just like, yeah, I will grant that. Actually, no, I don't even know if that's true because there was a British study. I can't remember if it was Hall et al. Or something else. But they tried to replicate the Dutch protocol and didn't find an improvement on mental health. So I don't even know if that's true. And then, I don't know, you're not considering any of the long-term things. There isn't that much long-term data on, child transitioners. We absolutely don't know how it affects your lifespan, for example. I don't know how my lifespan has been affected by being trans for, the last 8-9 years,
There. Is it?
Its trans story looks like dead eyes and dead inside. Yeah. I think that kids should just be allowed to be kids and sit with their thoughts and just explore self-expression without surgery or medication. Yeah, true. And I would also go as far as to say that people probably shouldn't try and socially transition their kids. But if your kid decides that, I don't know, they're 14 and they're male, but they want to wear eyeliner, they should be able to mess around with it and see if that makes them happy or something. nothing wrong with that. Fucking hell. It's just that why do we have to make all these inferences about their sex because of it? We can't get tattoos as minors, but it's okay to change sex. Absolutely wait till 18. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if he's going to mention bodily autonomy, but that's the problem with that. They can't drink. They can't get tattoos. They can't drive. But they can infertilize themselves via a long drawn out process that might fuck up their physical health and their mental health. Who knows?
That you just don't want your child to be trans because you would be embarrassed, or it's something you don't understand, or
you're leaping. You're jumping to conclusions about people that you don't even know. This is like just a guilt trip.
something that you're not comfortable with. Are you actually concerned for the child, or is it something else? And the final...
Okay, so people aren't allowed to be concerned about major life decisions someone makes as kids that completely change their bodies in lots of unalterable ways. No, you must just not like your kid or something. Amazing, amazing logic, man.
The thing I'll say about children is that there's this narrative that the woke elite are indoctrinating children to become trans. There's this...
If I were to rephrase this more charitably, I guess I'd say teaching kids about like transgender identities, you're arguably putting these ideas into their head, and they might start interpreting feelings or thoughts they had when they were very young, or like interpreting an action like playing with a Barbie doll when they're a male, as being more than what it is. And they might think, oh, trans, that's what I am. That might not actually be what they are, but no one knows. So they just transition anyway, and then eventually detransition. But you gotta be fucking careful with that shit, no? I don't know. We've woken up in crazy land today. I don't know.
This queer agenda, and if we teach it in schools, or we provide young people with information, then they're going to be encouraged to do it, and we're all...
Yes, they are. That's just true. That's just true. And moreover, what we're doing is providing them like the framework. We're not even allowing them to just kind of explore and understand this shit on their own. We're laying it out for them. Here's how it is. How is it not going to look like a bit of a pick and mix for some of these kids? Especially if like their parents encourage that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it absolutely can happen this way. There's just no denying it. I'm sorry.
Almost like creating this trend, which wouldn't have been there.
Well, it's already a fucking trend, man. It's a bit late for that.
If people didn't talk about it. Now, this was what people said maybe like 20 years ago.
Oh, okay. They said that about gay too, and it didn't turn out that every single person is now gay. So it must be the same thing now. Being gay doesn't involve any medical procedures, generally. Like, let's ignore things like fucking anal prolapse for a minute. Like, being gay is just who you're attracted to. Transitioning means changing your body permanently in some ways that might be adverse if you decide that you're not happy with your transition. I am post-op. If I decide that I want to father kids one day, I'm fucked. I haven't frozen any sperm, which, whether it actually works or not is, you know, a bit of a crapshoot. So don't assume that that is a foregone conclusion. But like, that's it. There's no, you can't get, you know, I can't get what my penis used to be back. I'll never like be sexually, you know, functional. Like that's an awful lot. You can't compare gay and trans in this way. It's insane. It's moronic to do so, frankly.
About homosexuality, right? There was a huge campaign in the UK, for example, to stop schools from having any kind of information about LGBT issues. And the idea was exactly the same as it is with trans issues now. It's like, if you educate people or if you talk about it, then it will become more. And what's interesting is if you look at the data, they're not wrong, right? So they look at the data and they go, oh, well, the more you educate, the more you...
Yeah. Well, if they're not wrong, here's another thing. Why do we want people to transition? Shouldn't it be a last resort? Something you do if you can't handle like being who you are? Shouldn't it be a last resort?
Inform, the more people will identify that way. It's not wrong, but what you will find is that it peters off. Okay, it's a really, really.
Did they ask me about it? I think someone mentioned at some point that I'd have to. I didn't bother, but I don't want kids for a number of reasons.
Interesting study to look.
That was also your choice as an adult to go through with the surgeries. Yeah, exactly. And an adult can make those kind of massive decisions and still end up regretting them. So like, what's a kid going to be like, you know?
On left-handed children. Back in the day, we used to try to kind of force everyone to be right-handed because we thought that connected to, and one hand comes naturally to you and identified as left-handed. In the amount of kids who were left-handed and who identified as left-handed.
Left-handed is not an identity. Why does everything have to be something you identify as? I hate this so much.
Handed. But
is this Adam Friended? No, this is someone called Mark, aka Not Defining. He's currently telling us why we should all transition our children.
Then the graph went like this: spike, petered off. And that's exactly.
Rating it as last resort may have been suboptimal for me. Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It's an adult decision that you made, and you were very sure about it, right? Yeah, of course he's doing the left-handed thing. He does the left-handed thing, he does the gay thing. Neither of those are the same as being trans. Neither of those involve any surgery, any irreversible hormone treatment, any puberty blockers that you better make sure you don't use for too long because they can also cause issues. I know. It seems insane to me, but we're determined to stay the course on this shit, so I guess it's just going to have to come crashing down, and it will.
Hostility and suppression, right? Like, that's obvious. It doesn't change the fact that you are that way. It just means that you hide it, which is very unhealthy. What will happen, what will be happening at the moment is that more information is available.
Well, if Lily Tino says it, it must be true.
More visibility is out there, and so more young people are realizing that, okay, maybe this is me. But that's not going to continue. And
are they realizing that it's them, or are they having ideas put in their head? Why should we be telling kids that they might be this thing, especially when to identify as that thing instantly raises your suicide risk? That doesn't sound good to me. I'm sorry.
Make everybody trans. I mean, take an example. I was born under Section 28, where it was literally not allowed to talk about LGBT issues in school. And hey, the next thing I want to talk about is safety, okay? Predominantly.
Okay, so it didn't explain why either of those examples had anything to do with this, just, well, it happened before with a different thing that's got nothing to do with this thing. Because literally you can be gay and trans, meaning they're not the same, they're not linked. They're two things that are not mutually exclusive. So he hasn't explained that at all.
Women's safety. And this is a big issue that comes up. Obviously, women's safety is incredibly important, and we all want to make sure that all women feel safe. The issue of trans...
Okay, listen, are you female and gender critical? You might be about to get a bit irritated at this man.
Rights has weirdly come into this in a strange way.
It's not really a strange way. It's fairly obvious that there are certain, like, clashes between trans women's rights and women's rights. That's just obvious.
And the first thing that I want to say about it is that no trans woman has sexually assaulted or attacked a cisgender woman or a non-trans woman in the UK. A cisgender woman or a non-trans woman in the UK.
Is that true? Is that true? Who did Lexi Sek rape? A trans woman has been jailed for 6.5 years after being found guilty of rape following a night out. Lexi Secker raped a woman in Blunsdon, Wiltshire on 23rd of April 2023. The attack took place before Secker began identifying as a woman. But by these people's logic, trans women were always women. So, amazing. This person has literally raped a woman. Are any others? 10th of May, Bristol transgender woman. God, it's always Lexi, isn't it? Lexi Rose Crawford from Bristol is denied rape and assault by penetration. Wait. It doesn't say whether it's a male or female, and this is a child as well. You need to be some kind of stupid to say that nobody from X has ever done a thing. Yeah, of course. Of course. Like, this is some hubris. This is some fucking balls the size of fucking church bells. Shit. That's very brave. 24-year-old was on license. This is a trans woman who penetratively raped a child by the sound of it. Shocking as he jailed Crawford for 9 years. Taken a PlayStation to the victim's house in order to play computer games. It doesn't gender the victim. Oh, no. The victim has had time to spend in hospital as a result of the impact the attack had on her mental health. So we've got one that raped a woman, one that raped a young girl. Lovely. Really love to hear this, by the way. It's amazing. Who is this? Ooh, Isla Bryson. Here we go. Trans woman guilty of raping 2. Yep, she was remanded in female prison. Thankfully, this got fucking sorted out. Don't worry about that. Raping 2 women before transitioning. C28 wasn't a moral panic. It was a medical panic during the AIDS pandemic. It was misplaced in retrospect. Yeah, that was the thing. They didn't know what was causing AIDS straight away. Not the UK, it was a California case right now. They put a male in the female prison because he identifies as a woman, raped a female. And yeah, I've heard about that. And all the Twitter losers are fucking talking about it being consensual lesbian sex, which is ghoulish. Hang on, because there was some in Scotland. Hang on. Katie Dolatowski. Because there's quite a few things here. Listen, I know people are going to be like, oh, J.K. Rowling is a source. Amazing. I don't care. Katie Dolatowski, 6'5", assaulted a 10-year-old girl in a women's public bathroom. Amazing. Exposing to 11-year-old girls. Child porn. Amy George abducted an 11-year-old girl. Sexually abused her over a 27-hour period. Okay, so that's oh, I've watched one of her videos before. Let's see if there's anything up before we carry on. This is an insane point to make. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Oh my god, this Pickle Bee person. I trolled them in chat once. They were doing all this dumb shit on Twitter about like, oh, we've tried being nice and like, it hasn't worked, and like saying this shit on their stream. So I just asked them like, how have you come to that conclusion? And they're just like, oh, just read some history. And it's like, oh, amazing. Okay, you don't know fuck all, do you? Absolute dumbass. Been real, y'all. I'm going to sleep. Hopefully when I wake up, it's good news. Be nice to yourself. Remember to breathe. And if you need some time, take it. Direct action gets you the goods and you can take the change by force. Yep, we're violent freaks. Fuck that person. Disgusting. And we got Isla Bryson again. I think I've made my point.
Ever. On record. Okay, so the number of trans women who have attacked cis women is 0. Okay, so I just want...
Wait, it was in the UK earlier, now it's fucking not. Yeah, it doesn't happen. Stop trying to be Blair White. I'm sorry. Maybe if I tell people that I love Trump and straighten my hair. Oh my god, another fucking Jovan fucking freak has entered my comments. Miles better than yours from what I've seen so far. Retarded. You're all idiots. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. What do we need? Sexual assaulters. Do they have a section for sexual adult assaulters? I'd rather not use sources like this because I know exactly what people will say. Yes, he said what you thought he would say. First off, it was a woman has never been sexually assaulted by a trans identified male in the UK. And then it's suddenly nowhere. Yeah, I don't know how to find, like, I don't know how to search. Got a child molester, amazing. I love how there's like trans people out there that are like child molesters. But it's LGBT, so like we're all in it together. We're not all fucking in it together. Listen, if you're a nonce, I ain't fucking in this with you. That's just how it is. You can get fucked, mate. Go to jail immediately. That's what you should do if you're a nonce. Just get the fuck to jail. Just do it. Sexually abusing 7-year-old stepdaughter. Share shower. Not great. It's not great. Guy's beyond insidious. I agree. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. It's not in chat this time. It's just in comments, like dipshit arguments. They think that if they use lots of words, then that'll work. And convicted of sexually abusing a child again. Listen, he said woman, not child, as if that isn't the one thing that's even fucking worse. More pedophiles. Another pedophile. Someone who's raped some men. Oh my god. Transgender officer accused of raping men. Physical aggression is a masculine trait. True, true. Oh, that was those gay people with the kids. I've seen stuff about that. Rapes and impregnates female inmates after being housed in women's prison. Yeah, someone mentioned this, I think. In Argentina. I thought that was in the US, unless there's been more. Trans murderer, how nice. More murderers. Listen, it's fine. If you murder someone, just be trans, and then people will love you, despite the fact that you're a fucking murderer and a piece of shit. Violently attacking multiple women to steal their boots. Raped infant, how nice. Anyway.
I just want to take that in. We are worrying about something once again that when we look at the statistics, when we look at the facts, isn't a threat.
You see that? All those people that we just looked at, they're not a threat. Whoever was raped by that Lexi Secker. Hi, Vorsh. Are you actually Vorsh? Your points are supercilious. I don't believe you've at all parlayed the concepts. Another Blair White.
Okay? When we also look at who are the most vulnerable to attack, to sexual assault, to harassment, it is trans women. So if you're a trans woman, you are about 4 times as likely as a cisgender woman to be the victim of misogynistic attack.
Quite a lot of this is to do with what is it, like sex workers, which doesn't like, it doesn't make it okay. But at the same time, you have to understand like what exactly is happening here.
You know, harassment, sexual assault. So in a weird way, we're taking an issue which is really important and targeting not only a section of society that has nothing to do with...
Okay, fair enough. Okay. This is the fucking thing. Not Vaush. Vaush isn't watching me, but Vaush's fucking pretender is in fact scared. There we go. Anyway. No, it's okay. Listen, I'll call off the lolly content apart from what I already watched.
But we're also targeting a section of society.
Oh no, it's okay. He's not real. He's not real. It's fine. It's fine. Listen. I got called Nazi by fake Vosh, it turns out. It is what it is.
That is the most affected by that problem. So, yeah, it's kind of wild to me. I think it's a distraction.
Listen, getting baited is just part of the thing, you know what I mean? And like, getting baited has like killed at least fucking 5 minutes. Ah yes, a liberal trans woman, the quintessential Nazi. Yeah.
Distraction from the real issue. And what's interesting is that when people talk about women's safety,
yeah, the gender abolition shit is like silly, quite honestly. It's a bit preposterous. Like, literally then you're arguing for what you don't want. So, yeah.
I would often challenge them to talk about reform of legislation to protect women against rape and sexual assault. You know, there are so many things that we can do to protect women, to give them support. So it's just a bit strange. It's like, why do we target trans women who have nothing?
The Nazis killed trans people, but I'm not sure if they targeted trans people. I'm definitely going to get called a Holocaust tonight for saying that, though. So, yeah, fuck it.
Thing to do.
I love the Jews, by the way.
With cisgender women's safety, and who are also like the most victimized, and at the same time not focus on the actual issue. Like, why not reform the very, very poor laws that govern rape and sexual assault? Like, if you
Can you give like an example? What the fuck?
are a cisgender man and you rape a cisgender woman or any woman, it is so unbelievably almost impossible for you to be convicted. There's a huge problem.
Yeah, they're very difficult to prove. Typically, it's just two people and it's one word against another. There's a lot of problems for sure, but like he said about the laws, is he going to mention any that are like actually bad? Because like if he comes up with any, like I'm interested for sure. I'd love to hear about women's issues that aren't abortion, quite frankly.
And I would like to ask anyone who's worrying about trans women to think about.
Yeah, from what I know, they targeted homosexuals, and supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not. This is from what I read a while ago. Supposedly, they kind of left alone the ones that were cool with that were doing straight shit in their new gender, and it was more the ones that were doing gay shit that they had a problem with. But I don't know how true that is, to be honest. Did I say that I love the Jews? Yes.
That and like what we're doing there. Also, it's important to say that if you're worried about men dressing up as women and going into women-only spaces,
Oh, Nathan, show us your trans grandfather. That'd be amazing.
then your problem is not with trans women, it's with cisgender men. Okay, so just...
Yep, and trans women follow similar patterns of offenses. I'm pretty sure, especially in like, is it America and California, places like that? I'm pretty sure that trans women are like even more overrepresented for like sexual assault. Like these issues are one and the same. Cis men and trans women's offenses, they're one and the same. Okay, if you're actually being truthful, then don't show me it, and I'm sorry for joking about that. Yeah, so there was a study, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm sure, like, you look at incarceration rates and stuff in, like, the US.
Now, the issue of same-gender spaces, public bathrooms, changing rooms, this is a really interesting issue. We're quite normalized having gender-segregated spaces.
Yep, this is just how our culture is. We can say, oh, we should be more like Sweden, where they're all in together. Our culture might just not move that way. You know what I'm saying? We just might not ever be okay with that in the same way. And that might just be how it is, unfortunately.
But if you think about those gender-segregated spaces, they don't actually keep people safe, right? If somebody wants to go into a women's toilet, and sexually assault or harass someone, like, they can. And you would hope that they would be kicked out or dealt with, or, you know, security would get involved in that case. And the interesting thing is that we worried about this when we were talking and, you know, getting hysterical about gay people, maybe 20, 30 years ago. And the whole idea was that, oh, gays can't be in the military because they're going to be in, you know, dorm rooms with other men. They're going to molest them and rape them and harass them. You know, we can't have gay people in sports teams and locker rooms because they're going to be looking at, you know, they won't be able
There's all stuff that's like moved on since then.
to take their eyes off, you know, the poor, defenseless, straight people. It's not going to be safe. Like, oh, gay teachers can't take groups of boys or groups of girls on summer camp because they're going to somehow be a threat to them. Number one, how offensive. How deeply offensive the idea
We're not talking about this. Jesus Christ.
that if you're gay, this idea that in some way, like, men cannot control themselves, I think is an extension of actually quite an old-fashioned answer.
That's not what it is. It's the fact that you don't know which men are the ones that can't control themselves.
Antiquated state of mind. If you look at history and you look at certain places in the world, like the Arab Gulf and, you know, maybe India, South Asia, you will see that, you know, women throughout time have been segregated for their own safety, right? You know, in some cultures, like, women have to be covered up because the idea is that men cannot control themselves. And that is a big, 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 big problem, right? I'm a man. I can control myself. There are now a lot of bathrooms which are unisex, right? So you have like the cubicles, private, obviously, and then you go and wash your hands, and there'll be women and men and whoever else. Why can't I wash my hands next to a female?
Yeah, this guy thinks that you should all be mixed in. And if a man says it's true, then all you women should just accept it. Just stop being bigots, right?
And not assault her, right? If we can actually have spaces where the behavior is unacceptable rather than a whole demographic of people being unacceptable and demonized and made assumptions about, then that's what we have to do in all areas of our society, because you can't, like, it's not effective and it's not fair. And the last thing I want to talk
Yeah, again, the problem is, like, if the culture doesn't move that way, then there we go.
about is fairness. A lot of the time we will talk about sports, gender segregation in sports. We have always
Oh, please tell me how it's fair to have males in with the fucking female sports. Fuck me.
had intersex people competing in sports, being on sports teams.
Yes, and it's been a massive fucking scandal whenever it's happened recently. Because they have an unfair advantage. Some of them are literally actually male.
Intersex people have always been a bit of an exception to, you know, the male-female gender binary segregation. So
Not really.
if you have an intersex person who wants to compete in a sport, what they'll do is they will look at that on a case-by-case basis, right? And they will go, okay, well, if it's amateur, it doesn't matter, right? But if it's really professional, if you're at the Olympics or, you know, whatever else where things are like super down to the T, assess it on a case-by-case basis. Like, why is that so difficult? There have always been...
Well, why would females want males in their sports? Like, they're a male person. They just shouldn't be there. That's just how it is. And if someone with a DSD is like a male person, they shouldn't be in there either. Otherwise, you know, we've got more and more people will start using that loophole. They're a bit shit at their sport, but they can beat some women. Like, it's not hard. Corruption rules. Yeah, of course, yeah.
been people who fall out of the gender binary. And we forget that for years and years and years, we have been dealing with that without any problems whatsoever.
Is that true?
So it's okay to have a system, but to also just accept that sometimes, in very rare cases, there will be an exception that just needs a bit of attention. It really, it's just not an issue. And
when was this? This was before Imam Khalif. I don't know.
I just want to say, like...
To be clear, by the way, a lot of the examples when I was looking for, like, males, transgender identified males assaulted Why not have sports segregated by ability rather than sex? Because you just end up making the sex categories again. Males are just better at most sports. And like, to like assess someone's ability, like how would you do that in an easy way? Like sex sports is just like easy, you know?
This is all being made an issue out of. The theme that I want you to take away from this, hopefully, is that, look, these things don't have to be an issue. Okay, we don't have to be expending all of this emotional energy and all of this worry and all of this
Emotional energy.
hysteria on this issue.
Then just fucking log off the internet. Then stop reading fucking shit about it and accept that what's gonna happen is gonna happen, regardless of whether you fucking stay autistically up to date with it or not.
It doesn't have to be an issue, right? It's causing so much
Is he trying to cry? He sounds like he's fucking gonna fucking bubble.
pain. It's causing so much distress. The impact on the trans community is absolutely
Like, the voice thing he's doing, this is gross. Ethan? Who's Ethan? Do you mean Nathan? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you're just trolling or what. If I get irritated at you, I'll ban you. That's how it works.
horrendous. Trans people are being attacked. Trans people are suffering insane levels of isolation, mental health issues, suicide, all the rest of it. By the way, if you're affected by any of these things,
Insane amounts of suicide, okay.
please come and speak, because I'll be
Yeah, this is like... The emotion he's putting in his voice is like bullshit. His voice still... I don't know. He didn't seem very impressed by me, unfortunately, so possibly not.
here for you. We can get you the support you need. It's causing so much damage, and it's not necessary.
Yeah, just listen to one side of the whole thing. By the way, can we substantiate any of this? We're not going to.
So I hope that this has been helpful. If you would like more information, then please click subscribe. And please, if you like this and can share it, I would be so grateful, because our trans community really need us. And if you have any comments or further questions, then don't hesitate to let me know, and I will get right back to you.
Is it not okay to be emotional? It seems very manipulative what he's doing. That's not saying it's not okay to be emotional. It's saying that this display of emotion I do not trust. And that is my right.